So how is Star Wars Galaxies Online looking in 2023? A game that most people have not played, including myself, honestly.
Star Wars Galaxies, a space-themed MMORPG released out into the world in June 2003 by developers Sony Online Entertainment. Over the next 2.5 years, the game would see 3 different expansions, with the final leading to a bit of a controversial reception from the player base, due to a massive overhaul of the game's systems, and by then the game buckling under the weight of the newly released king of the genre, World of Warcraft. Galaxies would endeavour all the way up to December of 2011, when it would finally shut down its servers not 5 days before another Star Wars MMO would begin its own journey.
Oh my god, it's Galactic Dad, can I have an autograph?
But its saddened fan base would have quite the surprise when a legendary team of individuals would band together to swing back open its doors in 2016, with the creation of Star Wars Galaxies Legends, a community project bringing the Star Wars Galaxies experience back, and better than ever. And today, my friends, we will be embarking on our own adventure into the world of Star Wars Galaxies, exploring its lands, meeting its inhabitants, and taking on its challenges.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Oh my god.
My name's Mitch Mannix, and this is Star Wars Galaxies Legends.
Okay.
Before we begin, I want to give a massive shout out to the sponsor of this video, Warframe.
Oh,
Warframe
an
is a
actual
cooperative,
good game.
free-to-play online action game with more than 70 million players on PC, Xbox Series X, PS5, Nintendo Switch and more. And a title that I may have spent an hour or two playing myself, for a healthy dose of cool factor to make up for all the RPG blunders. Warframe's incredibly exciting new update, the Deviri Paradox, transforms the game with a brand new roguelike, time-looping, massive open-world adventure that players on all platforms can experience for free. Players both old and new can jump straight into the Deviri Paradox from the start to experience its brand new story-based quest that sets the Drifter on a gritty sci-fi adventure to escape an enormous open world that transforms based on the mood of its ruler, the Child King, Dominus Thrax. Sign up and download Warframe with my link below and use my promo code for a limited time to claim a free bundle of items that are perfect for new players to get started in Warframe, including the Breton Assault Rifle and a 3-day Affinity and 3-day Credit Booster. As a player of the game for over 7 years, I personally am extremely excited for this one. Feel free to add me on my in-game name as Mannix, and maybe we can tear up the galaxy together.
That's a good ad.
We have another universe calling us. As always, our journey into this MMO begins at the character creator, where Star Wars Galaxies sports a surprising amount on offer to customize your chosen hero, considering its 2003 beginnings. 10 races are available, such as the Trandoshan, giving me flashbacks of the OG Super Mario movie, and the genuinely terrifying Celestin, going for the more cursed Garden Gnome option, all with the chance to tweak and customize elements such as body types, hairstyles, and facial features. Do they even have lips?
Bruh! That's quality right there. That's unbeatable quality, in fact.
But we need a hero for this journey, and so must of course call upon the one and only Dabadee Dabadai, a smuggler Mon Calamari that even all these years later is still clinging to the 90s and early 2000s by dragging along its memes before memes, and as we'll see a bit later in the video, becomes a little bit of a habit of his. Beginning our adventure, we are informed by the classic text crawl that the Galactic War rages on following the destruction of the Death Star, and we join our hero aboard an Imperial space station currently in the thick of the conflict, under attack. Taking our first steps, C-3PO walks us through the basics of combat and movement, taking out some pesky, highly explosive crates. As we attempt to get off this soon-to-be-destroyed station, we are met by the 3 amigos, with Han Solo himself offering to take us to safety, while blasting our way to the Millennium Falcon. What's clear with our ranged smuggler at least, is that Galaxy's combat feels like a blend of aimed and tabbed targeting, giving it a more action combat feel over its Warcraft competitor of the time. Rushing aboard the Falcon, we are treated to some really cool cutscenes while getting a chance to get a small peek at the space combat, blasting the remaining TIE fighters off our tail as we make our escape to our next stop of Tansari Point Station. Now within the safety of the space station, we are given a number of tasks by Han, who seemingly has not been keeping up with his payments with the Tutorial Lighting Company. Hold on, is it Han or Han?
Well, just say it the way you want to say it. It'll be regional.
Thanks, Mark. We set to work, taking us on a number of missions to fix up the Falcon, take down some local ruffians, some of which are adopting confusing battle tactics such as running full speed in the other direction, and getting to meet some of the station's locals. Well, I've heard about being one with nature, but this is ridiculous. Joking aside, overall I was really impressed with the introduction to this MMO, especially being a fan-led project of such an old title, making me feel more emplaced within the Star Wars universe than even its SWTOR replacement early on. I even got a chance for our first solo trip into space, blasting over to a nearby space potato to complete one of the introductory quests.
He's a potato.
With a number of credits earned and some new abilities,
Well, that's effective.
and with our ride repaired, seemingly right on time as there seems to be some odd noises coming from the space station.
It's nothing. Probably.
Well, I'm as stumped as you, Dabity. With not a moment to lose, we blast our way down to planet Tatooine to begin the true adventure, beginning at the iconic Mos Eisley. After taking in the sights, we set to work putting together our first player mount, scavenging parts from some nearby camps to create Dabadee's own speeder, that I'm sure will last him the entire duration of his adventure. Utterly sure. Galaxies with its mounts adds immersion by letting the player enter and exit a vehicle while still remaining in the world, even if Dabadee's driving skills are akin to an elderly woman after too many pina coladas at bingo. A small immersive touch, but one of so
That's acceptable for America, I think.
many that add to this, as we'll see on our adventure. Our blue hero quickly set about working through the Legacy quest series, a well put together lengthy series of quests to guide new players and provide a steady flow of gear and XP when leveling.
Dude, this is definitely the time when Anarchy Online came out. Also, look at this. The graphics look exactly the same. Barren wastelands of nothing. Maybe there's a rock, and that's like the highlight of your scenery. Man, it was a different time. Hand-holding? You're lucky you know how to use the movement controls, baby. Hand-holding is literally non-existent in these games. And by the way, there's a bunch of stories about Star Wars Galaxies. Like, man, how people because Jedi is a hidden class in this game, if I remember correctly. And to become a Jedi, it's pretty hard, you know. If you meet a Jedi in this game, it's like, woo. And that was one of the things that people actually hated about their newest expansion when it launched, I remember. It was the fact that a Jedi became an actual class that you could pick.
Visiting a number of locations and later down the line new planets. The quests early on at least are mainly comprised of fetch and kill quests, but for a game that predates even World of Warcraft's release, kept the flow of leveling and always felt like moving in the right direction. Sometimes quite ironically, in the face of some maze-like building design, and some waypoints not exactly being on the mark for certain objectives, leading to some frustration, but these were quite infrequent occurrences, and made all the better with encounters with some of the game's other players, including a Jedi somehow mastering the art of looking cool and utterly ridiculous at the exact same time. On the other side of that, what I did enjoy was actually having to read up on what I was doing when assigned a particular task. Remember that? Rather than in more recent years relying on the game to hold my hand through it all, and worked well at keeping my attention focused on the goings-on when leveling, and with that building out the game's world. Leveling and growing in power is done through gear and abilities, as you may imagine, with interesting options to spec into some subclasses.
Our bro looks utterly ridiculous.
For example, the smuggler being able to spec into a beast tamer, commanding powerful companions and even raising their own rideable mounts. With Galaxy's Age, there were some rough edges when it came to its NPCs, however, with some scaling near vertical walls and others sliding down cliffs like they're mumbling a levitation spell thinking no one's looking. Although it may look jarring from time to time, didn't really impact combat in my time with the game, but that may have been due to the choice of being a ranged class, and if anything gave me all the more reason to be diligent at picking my shots and staying on my toes.
Dude.
After working through a wide range of quests and even getting a chance to meet Jabba the Hutt, who seems to be having a disturbingly good time, made sure to return to a larger settlement every now and again to trade my loot and generate some cash, which of course included a trip to the odd cantina, where we got to see a number of the game's...
Was this made by the exact same people that Anarchy Online was? Because I played Anarchy Online at that point, boys. Woo, man, you know where to level after the tutorial island. Whoo, tutorial island. Also, it's a maze. You have no clue how to get out of it. Amazing, bruh. Gaming back then was a completely different beast, okay?
Entertainer players, dancing and playing music, providing buffs and looking for those sweet tips. An interesting element of the game that we will revisit a little later in the video. Dabadee with a number of new levels, a new set of armor that terrifyingly gives him the likeness of that insanely irritating crazy frog from the early 2000s, decided to check out what other leveling opportunities were available before heading off to a new planet with the Legacy questline. So picking up a few contracts from the mission terminal, set to work tracking down some quick fire missions for some more experience. Not before grabbing ourselves a new ride, as of course the speeder in the end fell victim to some Dabadee shenanigans.
Oh no.
Oh god, I've made it worse. Mission terminals are available for all classes, including the entertainer and crafter classes, and are a great way to get some quick XP and cash while exploring the game. And again, work well at feeling like there's always an option to turn to when building a character.
Yeah, mission terminals were, by the way, a thing, and games of the long before had them, and they were super simple. Go somewhere, find something, kill something, pick something up, and that's literally it. It was insanity.
Character to the level cap of 90, even if on occasion risking an attack from deceptively speedy banthas. And on the way back got our first look at some of the impressive player settlements, whilst Dabadee was looking for some non-Crazy Frog options for upgrades. Hardcore, it looks empty.
Yo.
I stand corrected. With our time on Tatooine drawing to a close, and Crazy Frog outfit discarded, it was time to reach further out into the galaxy. Our time leveling further took us to a number of new locations, the grand cities of Naboo, and the plains of Corellia, and even took on some missions to get us...
You know what's one of the best stories in this game? It was about, first of all, getting the Jedi class was a hustle, okay? Jedis were actually super rare when this game was popular, because to get a Jedi class you needed to do some wacky stuff. But the wacky stuff didn't end with just being a Jedi. You could get different color lightsabers, oh yes. And one person in the game had a white lightsaber, and no one knew how to get it. People speculated so much. Get this thing in Tatooine, get the sandworm or whatever it is to eat it, or whatever happening here, then do this. The people were literally losing their minds how to get a white lightsaber. And people were not sure. Maybe this is some kind of dev mistake. Maybe it's a bug or whatever. But this guy has a white lightsaber. Because a lot of things at that time were obviously hidden. You know? There were not tutorials for everything you could do. And that was insane.
us out to space itself to take on some challenges, getting a further showcase of the game's galactic combat, blasting foes out of the sky, and even getting to wander around the ship and explore whilst travelling through space, which once again is a great touch to enhance immersion, and with each ship's upgradability for both combat and utility, it's just another of Galaxy's many additional features to get stuck into, with even a nice luxury ship for new players when joining to kick things off, this being one of a number of claimable options in Legends, to enhance quality of life and give new players options even when taking their first steps into the game, with a one-time XP boost to 90, a housing token to get things started in your first property, and extras to keep things pacey early on. Using the boost, we got a chance to hit 90 after leveling across a number of planets, and whilst Dabadee yet again gearing himself like he just fell out of a bin, got stuck in with some later quest lines, with the mind to gear up for some more instant late game content, with quest lines such as the Wookiee Trials of Kashyyyk, the Night Sisters of Dathomir, and the Storm Lord of Mustafar.
They even had Dathomir? Wow, that's impressive.
In comparison to the early questing, felt much more engaging over previous repeated kill quests, such as a chef we encountered while working with the Hutts, requesting a seemingly endless amount of the same quest over and over. What are you cooking up, man? Tell you what, you're cooking up some bullshit. Also being level 90 helped us to be able to explore one of Star Wars Galaxy's Legends' most incredible aspects, that being its huge, amazingly impressive player-built settlements and cities. Shuttle ports, guild halls, shops and cantinas to name a few. The player base of this game have long been hard at work creating all manner of player-built environments, some of which are just insane with the attention to detail, and really throughout my entire time with the game felt like nothing I'd ever played before.
Well, if there's one group of people that probably are gonna spend an unhealthy amount of time trying to make something look like Star Wars and Star Wars, that's the Star Wars fans. They love that. They love that stuff, and they are gonna express that love by making it better.
And that's when it really sank in for me just how incredible, but also heartbreaking it is, taking a look at this community-driven project. Now some of you may be the same as me, but I never got a chance to play this game on release, but now and again caught stories told by players, recounting events of before it was closed down. Almost unbelievable sandbox experiences that always intrigued me but also made me feel a little bit sad that I never had a chance to dive in myself, while also being a bit put off by its dated visuals and sometimes odd-looking animations, such as Dabadee here looking like he's attempting to get a cheeky last one in before cratering into the ground. But to say that Star Wars Galaxies was ahead of its time would be a colossal understatement.
That's so true.
It makes me really think about what could have been if history had played out a little differently for this game. players can dive into completely craft-based classes that come with their own gear, leveling, and quest lines to go along with the hugely in-depth crafting system behind it. Entertainers level up and progress by directly interacting with the players and adding to the game's social environments, a masterstroke move for a sandbox MMO environment. Classes have subsystems such as the smuggler's underground smuggling role of running contraband across space. The game has a reputation and alignment systems for the Empire and Rebellion, as well as more PvP faction-based systems to couple with its PvP and galactic warfare. And the player-created communities built on each planet are unbelievable for an MMO. There are so many moving parts to this game that it would take an age to cover it all. And it feels heartbreaking to me that this title was not given more of a chance to thrive, but instead buckling under its own weight along with the knockout punch.
There is gonna be some kind of new Star Wars MMORPG or something along the lines, because SWTOR got closed down. Well, not closed down, but it's pretty much on life support. You know how it is. But that means they're most likely gonna make some kind of World of Warcraft competitor, or at least try to do it with, you know, Star Wars, because again, it's a huge brand. It's everyone's gonna play it. Like, are you really gonna tell me you're not gonna play a Star Wars game that's an MMORPG? Of course you are. Of course you are. Until the moment the Jedi just insta kills you because reasons. But you know, of course you are.
Of Blizzard's World of Warcraft, Star Wars Galaxies may not have the polish of newer titles, or the much more engaging combat experiences of contemporary MMOs. But I've said it already, but this game feels like nothing I've ever played before. A community through and through, with nearly every moving part of the game supporting and enhancing that experience. Player housing and community mechanics, even in MMOs released today, can only dream of ever reaching the heights of this 2003 MMORPG.
Beautiful.
Initially, I was blown away that a community team would go to such efforts to keep a game of this age alive. But now I get it. This is more than a game. And no, that's not some corny bollocks that sounds nice. It really is. And the Star Wars Galaxies Legends team have even built their own additions to the game, including another entire planet, as well as new questlines and crafting professions. The talent and dedication shown by this community team is off the charts, and well worth celebrating. Safe to say, if you're looking for a purely combat experience or some epic storytelling, contemporary options, as you would expect, have become far superior. But if you're willing to look past its rough exterior and want to experience what an insanely well-crafted online gaming community really feels like, then Star Wars Galaxies, even all these years later, is just simply light years ahead.
Nice.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping it a like, as it really helps me out. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for oh so much more. As always, I'm keen to get your thoughts down.
Bam. Very, very good stuff. Well, you know what it is. Anyway, this was Chris Said. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.